In 1959, 9 experienced hikers were found dead in the Ural Mountains after fleeing their tent in the middle of the night, cutting their way out from the inside and walking barefoot into sub-zero darkness. Some died from exposure, others from massive internal injuries without external wounds, and one was found missing her tongue. The case was officially closed, with no clear cause. Let's examine what actually happened. In January 1959, a group of 10 hikers from the Ural Polytechnic Institute set out on a winter expedition in the northern Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. The leader was Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student with significant mountaineering experience. The goal was to complete a Category 3 winter trek, the highest difficulty rating at the time, covering roughly 300 kilometers through remote terrain. The group initially consisted of 8 men and 2 women, all between the ages of 20 and 24, except for one older member, Semyon Zolotaryov, age 37, a decorated World War II veteran. Early in the journey, one participant, Yuri Yudin, turned back due to illness. His decision would later make him the only survivor. The remaining 9 continued north toward Autorten Mountain, travelling on skis and carrying tents, food, journals, cameras, and winter gear. Weather conditions were severe, with sub-zero temperatures, strong winds, and limited visibility. Despite this, the group maintained daily logs and photographs documenting their progress. On February 1st, 1959, the group stopped on the eastern slope of Kholat Syakhl, a mountain whose name in the local Mansi language translates to Dead Mountain. Instead of descending into a forested area below, they chose to camp on the exposed slope, possibly to avoid losing altitude or due to worsening weather. This decision placed them in an area vulnerable to wind, cold, and limited natural shelter. That night, something occurred that caused all 9 hikers to leave their tent abruptly. When search teams later located the campsite on February 26th, they found the tent partially buried in snow and cut open from the inside. The cuts were long and deliberate, indicating the occupants exited without using the entrance. Inside the tent were boots, coats, cameras, food, and most personal belongings. Footprints led away from the tent down slope, toward a forest approximately 1.5 kilometers away. The footprints were made by individuals wearing socks, a single boot, or barefoot, suggesting a rapid and unplanned evacuation. The tracks were orderly and showed no signs of pursuit or struggle. At the edge of the forest, beneath a large cedar tree, searchers found the remains of 2 hikers. They were wearing minimal clothing and had signs of having attempted to build a fire. Burn marks were visible on the tree branches above them, suggesting they climbed to break branches for fuel or visibility. Between the cedar tree and the tent, 3 more bodies were found at varying distances, positioned as if attempting to return uphill toward the campsite. These individuals were more clothed than the first 2, but still lacked proper winter protection. The remaining 4 hikers were not found until May, after snowmelt revealed a ravine deeper in the forest. They were buried under several meters of snow and showed significantly different injuries from the others. Autopsies conducted by Soviet medical examiners revealed that 6 hikers died from hypothermia. The remaining 3 suffered severe internal injuries, including crushed ribs and skull fractures. Notably, These injuries showed no corresponding external wounds, suggesting exposure to a powerful force rather than blunt assault. One victim was missing her tongue, another her eyes, and some soft tissue was absent in others. Investigators later attributed much of this tissue loss to post-mortem decomposition and scavenging animals, particularly given the bodies were discovered months later in flowing water. Radiation traces were detected on some clothing items. Soviet authorities stated the levels were not lethal, but the source was never clearly explained. Zolotaryov was found wearing clothing belonging to others, indicating redistribution of garments after death had begun. There was no evidence of a struggle between group members. No signs of external attackers were present. No weapons were found. Alcohol was not involved. The tent cuts, footprints, and body positions suggested panic followed by attempts at survival rather than immediate fatal violence. The official Soviet investigation concluded in May 1959, stating the hikers died due to a compelling natural force. The case was then classified, and many documents were restricted for decades. Over time, numerous theories emerged. Avalanches, katabatic winds, infrasound effects, military testing, wildlife encounters, and interpersonal conflict. Most theories failed to explain all evidence simultaneously. In 2020, Russian authorities reopened the case and officially concluded that a small slab avalanche likely triggered the incident. According to this explanation, snow pressure could have caused the tent collapse, forcing the hikers to flee downhill. Disorientation, darkness, and extreme cold then led to hypothermia and fatal injuries. However, critics argue that avalanche indicators were weak, footprints remained visible, and injuries were inconsistent with typical avalanche trauma. No single explanation has been universally accepted. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains unresolved, not because of a lack of data, but because the existing evidence allows multiple interpretations. All primary participants are deceased. Physical evidence has degraded. The site itself has changed due to environmental conditions. The case persists as one of the most analysed wilderness deaths in history, with official records, photographs, journals, and autopsy reports forming a rare and detailed archive of an unexplained event.